Well, the use of dispersant chemicals continues to be a controversial topic in the Gulf oil spill response.
They're also being closely monitored at the site of the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska. During his visit with a group of Louisiana residents, Bill Capo asked why the Citizens Advisory Council there decided against using them.
The use of dispersants at the disaster in the Gulf of Mexico was carefully watched at the site of the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska and caused great concern.
Well-intentioned people thought it was the right thing to do, and we may wake up to find out that it was a tragic mistake, and we annihilated a bunch of life in the Gulf of Mexico and traded that for perhaps cleaner beaches.
The Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council, or RCAC, has decided that dispersants should not be used to break up oil spills in Alaska, in part because of the cold climate. But the other reason is concern about how poisonous dispersants can be and how the way they break up oil into tiny droplets could affect marine life.
Very simplistically, dispersants are great if you're a bird and bad if you're a fish. But we've done lots and lots of studies in the intervening 20 years that show that oil in the water at a very low, almost parts per billion level, has tremendous impacts on larvae of salmon, larvae of herring.
Swanson said there are good reasons to use dispersants in some cases, such as a small oil spill or one where an endangered species is threatened. But he said just the size of the BP disaster makes it uncharted territory for dispersants.
This is an experiment on a scale that the world has never seen before. And so what are the long-term impacts to the Gulf of Mexico?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows that. And we probably won't know that in 6 months or in 8 months or in 2 years or even in 5 years.
We're living with a potential time bomb waiting to explode in our faces.
Spray on. Sprayed on.
With nearly 2 million gallons of dispersants being used in the Gulf of Mexico, Swanson's concerns were matched by the worries of the Louisiana delegation that visited Alaska.
Very concerned regarding the dispersant. The fact that the EPA has had no testing on what it does to seafood long term is a big question that's unanswered.
As this stuff is broken down, eventually microbes will biodegrade it and render it benign. But how much damage will it do between now and that time? How far will the oil go? And at what levels? What very low levels does that do irreparable damage to marine ecosystems, to the food chain?
The fact that it was used at the wellhead, which was never done before, we don't know how much the food chain is going to be interrupted.
Nobody's ever seen that anywhere. There's no science on that. We are learning as we go.
A new Environmental Protection Agency report says studies indicate dispersants alone are less toxic than oil and less toxic than an oil dispersant mixture.
I think, okay, well, are you any less dead if you're run over by a Volkswagen or by a truck?
What has been created has been a cocktail, a toxic cocktail. And, you know, I'm concerned.
What's really important is oil mixed with dispersants is more toxic than just oil alone, is more toxic than just dispersants alone. And now we have dispersants on an unprecedented scale put into the ecosystem of the Gulf of Mexico.
For now, the wait for answers continues. From Valdez, Alaska, with photographer Brian Lucas, I'm Bill Capo, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
Swanson concluded one good thing is that studies now being done about the use of dispersants in the Gulf of Mexico can be used to guide decision makers at the next major oil spill.